What's going on there, guys? My name is Matt, or Chewy, as most of you will know me as, and today I am bringing you another full flight video in prepared version 3.3. Today we are on the ground at my favourite scenery pretty much, and it is of course Orbex's Stockholm Arlanda in Sweden, otherwise known as ESSA, and we are doing the flight service down to Malaga today as Norwegian Air Shuttle 4221. We are on stand Foxtrot 35, and as you can see, we've got the Scania trucks with the catering currently doing their thing. It looks like a very cloudy day in Stockholm, which is pretty much how it looks in England at the same time. You can see the ATC tower over there. It looks like a hotel, I think, in the distance. I'm not too sure if that is. I could be wrong. But it's absolutely beautiful scenery, and I love flying out of here. And Aerosoft have just released their Malaga scenery, which I've been really enjoying flying in and out of for the past few days. And so I thought I would show that up in a video for you guys as well. So yes, whilst catering gets going, and we'll start boarding the passengers straight away afterwards once they've filled the aircraft up. We will start to get things going in the flight deck. Now, apologies if I forget anything. Knowing me, I probably will miss something. Feel free to comment it in the description, but in the comment section even below if I do miss something substantial. Knowing me, I probably will forget one or two things, but I'll try my very best not to. Right, IRSs can go to nav and they can align because we're doing the first flight of the day. And we will set the local QNH. Cheating and pressing B. I know, I'm a scumbag for doing that. And the local pressure here at Stockholm Arlanda is 1006, as you can see on the bottom PFD, just down the bottom there. So that is all good. Whilst that is there, we will bring up the right FMC and let's load in our weight. So our zero fuel weight today is 59.8. And our fuel in total today is, let me just have a look at my flight plan, 13,466. So a lot of fuel on board. Let's see how much that is in total. 64.5% total level. So still plenty more that we could take. But this is about a 3-4 hour flight. 3.5 to 4 hour flight in total, I believe. So it could be quite a long one. Right, it looks like the doors can be closed on the outside now. And catering has finished their job. So there we go. The doors are closing up. And we will see that the catering vehicles start to move back. So whilst they're doing that, I will also start to request boarding. And then once these Scania trucks have got out of the way, we will be able to begin the boarding process and get the passengers on board our flight. So without further ado, let's start to set things up. First thing that I really need to do is to arm the emergency exit lights. I'm not going to worry about this seatbelt sign going on at the second. I will just wait for the passengers to come on. And I'm not really going to mess about with the overhead at the second. I'll do that later. I'm not too sure if it's the best process and if there's specific things that I really need to set up now before going into the FMC. But as I said, like, I've got my own kind of flow, and this is the way that I do things. Before I get into the FMC, though, let's set the parking brake. We're not on VATSIM today, but just as a kind of measure of in case I do decide to log on to VATSIM at any point, I'll pop myself onto Unicom, which is 122.8. And I will also squawk 2000. So that is all in there just on the, chance that I do decide to log in at VATSIM. There's no ATC online anyway at the minute. Right, into the FMC we go. And let's start setting up the flight. So, pausing it today, as I spoke about earlier on, we're at Stockholm Arlanda, which is ESSA. Let's see if it'll take the gate. It was Foxtrot 35. A moment of truth to see. No, as usual, it won't do so. And so instead we would just grab the left GPS position and pop that in like that, and the screen's come to life. Now it wants me to open some doors, so let me just open, and there's a little glitch. If the front entry door already starts as being open, GSX doesn't recognize it, which is a tiny bit annoying. Okay, right, so the doors are opening for the passengers now, and we can start to enter in our route. So ESSA to Lima Echo Mike Golf 01, which is LEMG. And there we go, the company route comes in. Departure runway today is 01 left. And we are flight number NAX, which is Norwegian Shuttle 4221. Activate and execute that. On the departures and arrivals page, we'll go on to departures. As we've already selected, 01 is the runway for departure. And our departure in the SID today is the DKR for Charlie departure. So I'll pop that in, and before I do anything else, we'll just have a look at the legs page to make sure I've got no discontinuities at this stage. I will do obviously near the end of the flight plan, or there won't be anything there, but that all looks fine to me. back onto init.ref, and we can enter in all of the relevant details on the performance initialization page. So transition altitude here at Stockholm is 5,000 feet. We are going to be cruising at flight level 360 today. Now, I can't remember, I asked about this in my Twitch chat the other day, about what the cost index is for Norwegian shuttle, and I can't remember what it fully is, and different people were giving me different numbers, so I'm just going to go with 45. It's probably going to be wrong, for which I do apologise. 0 fuel weight can get popped in, and then reserves today, we have got 1.9, I believe. And that can get popped into there like so. So there we go, we've got the actual performance initialization page completed now. On to the N1 limits page. We don't have a D rate today because we are quite heavy with the amount of fuel and with the passengers on board. And so there's no D rate today, but we do have an assumed temperature of 36 degrees. And that gives us an an N1 rating of 95.2. It will be a flaps 5 takeoff. Center of gravity can get popped into there like so. We'll give ourselves an acceleration altitude of 3,000 feet. I'm not too sure on this departure whether that is accurate, but I just like to do so. And then we can pop in our V speed. So V1 146, VR is 147, and V2 is 154. It's telling me I can't do a certain speed by a certain waypoint, but I'm just going to clear that. That's fine. So we can now put 154 into the MCP there. The runway heading, if I'm not mistaken, is 5, so that's an easy one to scroll to. And then we don't have any ATC or anything like that, so I'm going to kind of cheat and put my altitude all the way up to cruise level, which, as shown earlier on, is 36,000 feet. We can pop the auto brake onto RTO, rejected takeoff. Our flight directors can come on now. Auto throttle is actually already on. I'm not too sure if I accidentally clicked that. And LNAV and VNAV can be armed on the MCP as well. So onto the overhead. Let's put the altitude at 36,000 straight away there. Otherwise, knowing me, I will forget to do that at some point. It looks like we're boarding as well. Now let's go and have a look outside. It looks like the boarding process is actually completed for the baggage. So I think that's a good time now for us to put the seatbelt signs on. And I'll also chime up there. And then with that, the packs can go on. I'll bring the isolation valve back onto auto. And then let's start the APU up if I can. Knowing me, I've probably forgotten to do something absolutely crucial and the APU won't start up now. And I'll be just staring at the screen wondering like, wait, what? What's going on? Why won't it start up? But it's nice to be back in the 737. We've not flown it for a while, and I've not done a full flight video in it with just me piloting it. The last one I did actually was with FS2 crew in the works, but I've kind of decided not to use that too much anymore. I'm happy flying it on my own. Right, APU is starting up successfully, which is always nice. I was worried that it wasn't going to there for a second, but you can see on the reading here, the scale is going up. I'm going to pop the aft fuel pump on. And then we can actually go back into the right-hand FMC and just close up those cargo doors on the right-hand side of the aircraft. Because we don't need those anymore, as all of the baggage is on board. APU is started up, so the APU can go onto the buses now, which is nice. And then in terms of the overhead as well, what I will do now is I will just, again, kind of go through a general flow. This isn't all correct. I don't know if I put these things on in the correct order. Knowing me, I probably don't, but sue me. Let's pop the hydraulic pumps on as well. Window heats can go on. I won't pop the probe heat on yet at the second. But that should be fine. I don't think I need to do any more at the second. I don't need to put my anti-collision light on just yet because we're not going to be starting up pushback. And I'm not going to pop all the fuel pumps on until I'm ready for pushback as well. So that can stay like it is. But yeah, we're pretty much good to go now. There's not much else for us to do with the APU started up. I'm going to pop our lower ICAS display on the engine page just so I remember to do that. And then I'm not too sure how long it's going to take for boarding to complete. So what I'm actually going to do is kind of cheat, which I apologise for. But we're actually going to reset the position of GSX, so it will kind of disappear from the screen. I know, not very immersive, I do apologise. And we'll prepare for pushback and departure now, just so then we're ready to go. From stand Foxtrot 35, we're going to be wanting to go our nose to the left. We don't want to start our engines before pushback And let me just show you on the screen, actually, just whilst things get ready there. Here we are. This is Avlasoft EFB, my electronic flight bag software that I use to plan all of my flights pretty much. And you can see here we are on stand Foxtrot 35, and we're basically just going to come off from the apron here and taxi all the way around on Zulu until we reach... let me just get rid of that, actually. Yeah, until we reach 01 left. So all the way around on Zulu, and then down, 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 until Yankee 1 for the holding point for 01 left. And also here is our departure, as I said, the DKR for Charlie departure. So simple enough in there. Right, I'll move Avlasoft out of the way now. It looks like we've got GSX in place and they're connecting things up, and they are asking me very rapidly to close some doors. And so I will close the rest of the doors. The passengers have now virtually boarded into our aircraft, and we can see that all of the lights have gone out here, just confirming that all of the doors have officially shut, which is nice. And then we'll click the return page, go onto the ground connections. I've got my parking brake set and the APU is on, so I don't need the GPU anymore. All of that can go. Lovely stuff. I'll pop that on the legs page for the first officer's FMC, and then the captain's FMC over here on the left hand side is our takeoff reference page. Now, locking gear is going on outside, which is good, so I'm actually going to switch the rest of the fuel pumps on now. The anti-collision light can go on whilst we are here as well. And then I think we're pretty much good to go. Once we're given permission to release the parking brakes, I'll turn the packs off. And we'll start the engines. Again, I'm not too sure on Norwegian, like, kind of specific setup on whether they start engine number 2 or start number 1 first, but... just because that's usually what I do, we'll start number 2 first and then go to number 1 afterwards. Right, we can release the parking brake. We've got a blocks off time of 8:34 Zulu. The clocks can go on. And we've been given permission by GSX to start at our will. So the ignition switch can go on to right. We'll click starter to ground. And then hopefully start to get a reading. Oh, wait, no we won't, because I've not turned the packs off. A hashtag blame Chewie moment there. There we go. I said I was going to turn the packs off and then I forgot to do so. But luckily we remembered. You can see the N2 percentage starting to rise there. And as usual with the 737, it's not quite as simple as the 777 where you just load in the fuel at 2%. With the 737, you're looking for an N2 reading of about 25% before you click in the fuel levers. So we just heard the click there, which signals starter cut out for number 2 engine. We will wait until that stabilizes before we switch over and start number 1. You can see pushback is almost complete. We're just lining up on the yellow taxi line now. I'm happy that that engine is stabilized, so we'll switch over to left and go to ground on number 1 engine. Pushback has been complete, so we can set our parking brake so that the tug can disconnect from us now. And then once again, we will watch that N2 reading on the lower ICAS display and look for the magic number of 25%. And there it is. Let's go outside and go and have a look around as we can see the tug disconnecting there, and we'll also be able to see number 1 engine starting up. Beautiful aircraft this. The Norwegian 737 is one of my favourites in the aviation world. I just think it looks so good. And I've flown with Norwegian once and they were very, very, very good. So number 1 starting up. Tug is disconnecting and they're moving out of the way for us now. Let's go back and watch. And it looks like we've got starter cut out on number 1 as well. So once again, just like with the first one, we'll wait until it's stabilized, which it has. Left is clear, right is clear according to GSX. He's giving me the nod, so we are good to taxi. We'll just do all of our before taxi procedures first and get them sorted. So the upper ICAS display can have the constrained view. I don't even know, it's just a smaller view of all of the information for the engines there. And we will pop ourselves on the right. We'll go to the ground switches onto continuous now. APU can come off of the buses. The packs can come back on. and then we can actually turn off the APU now, and the APU bleed can go off. I'll pop on the probe heat whilst we're here. Pop us onto Gen 1, and I think the overhead is okay, unless I've missed anything completely drastic. The only other thing to do is taxi and runway turn-offs. And then I think we're good there. So the next thing that I need to do is select flaps 5. 1, 2, 5. And we can see the flaps slowly extending out here. But apart from that, hopefully I've not missed anything. I'll probably jinx it now, and there'll be something brutal that I've missed. There we go. Flaps 5 is selected. We are all good and ready to taxi. So as I said, we're just going to follow out the taxiway here and then take our first left onto Zulu and follow Zulu all the way around to the holding point for 01 left. So we'll release the parking brakes. Pop the throttle up a bit. Not too much, Chewy. Don't go crazy now. And there we go. But it is nice to be in the 737 NGX. I've been flying it quite a bit on stream recently. I've not really flown the 777 for a while. I don't know why. I just kind of don't want to go over the top with the 777 and fly it so much that I get bored of it. And so I'm just being cautious of that. And then the Aerosoft Airbus, I'm just getting sick of now. You know, I'll still fly it every now and again, but it's just, I'm getting bored of it in all honesty. And I guess it's because of the imminent release of the FS Labs A320, which everybody has gone crazy over, and rightly so, because apparently it's very, very, very good. And so I'm just I'm looking forward to that. So I think I'm kind of sick of the Aerosoft Airbus now. And I've also started to finally learn the Dash 8 Q400 from Majestic. Everybody has been asking me to do it for the stream for a long, long while, and I finally got round to starting to learn it. And I think the key for me learning that aircraft, or starting to learn it anyway, I'm by no means an expert yet, is to just not even think of it as anything like an Airbus or a Boeing. Airbus and Boeing procedures are kind of the only thing that I've ever done in aircraft before, and the Dash 8 is just a completely different beast. It's the first kind of turboprop aircraft that I've ever tried to fly in a flight simulator, and it's quite confusing. But once I kind of got my head round, okay, Chewy, don't treat it like it's a Boeing or an Airbus, come to it as a completely new aircraft, I seem to have had more success with it. And although it's tricky to fly, it's a really good challenge, and I think it's going to be a good stepping stone, because if I can master the Dash 8, then it shows that I can really start to, you know, study more in depth with aircraft, and hopefully that will be a good kind of leaping point ready for when the beloved FS Labs A320 comes out. So just keeping ourselves on the centre line now, taxiing at around about 20 knots in a straight line there and thereabouts. I think the speed limit is about 30 knots, and then 12, like 10 to 15 at the very maximum on turns, if I'm not mistaken. But I usually like to try and leave myself at around about 20% in a 20 knots, sorry, in a straight line. And there we are taxiing. Beautiful Norwegian livery. We're in the registration Lima November India Golf. And you can see the wing view there with the wing flex of the 737. Just looks amazing. And of course this beautiful Orbeck scenery. I should really be showing the night lighting here, because the night lighting at this airport is unreal. Absolutely unreal. Get ourselves back on the centre line now after loading in wing views for a few seconds and almost going completely off course. So we're going to carry on down here now. What I think I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to slightly change course, and instead of carrying right down there, we're actually going to take a right turn here pretty much, and lead us round onto Yankee, because it's just a bit more of a direct route. Got kind of like a roundabout in the middle. Britain all over, just roundabout everywhere, and it seems that they like to have them in Sweden as well. This is probably the completely wrong route that I'm taking, in the wrong taxiways and everything like that, but we're flying offline, and I don't take myself too seriously to worry about those things. Hopefully volumes are okay for you guys as well. If it is quiet in this section with the aircraft, I will make sure to edit that, and so that the aircraft is louder in the later sections of the video. Hopefully it's not quiet, it's just in my ears at the second it does seem a little quieter than normal, and so if it is, don't worry, I will turn it up even if it's quiet now. Right, so here we go. Yankee 1. just up ahead to the right, and then 01 right, 01 left even, sorry, is just here. That's where the threshold is. You can kind of see the runway approach lights just off in the distance to the right there. So we will hold short and make sure that everything is set up in the aircraft and that we're happy and good to go. Here we go. We've got the signs for 01 left, Yankee 1 as well. So reading that, and we are identified on that. And what I'll do is I'll just hold here. I'm not too sure if there's another holding point. I don't think there is by the looks of things. So we'll hold here, and then instead of just holding down the toe brakes, I will just set the parking brake for a second. Position can go to strobe and steady now. Anti-collision light can remain on. We don't need the logo lights. Landing lights can come on as well, and I'm going to turn the taxi light off because I believe that's generic procedure to turn that off. Weather radar can now come on the left ICAS display. We'll turn the TCAS on to TARA, even though we won't see any traffic because, again, we are flying offline. And I think we're good to go. Hopefully there's nothing else that I have missed. If I have, we'll probably find out once I get in the air. So I will release the parking brake once again. Let's throttle up and get onto the runway. As we enter the runway, I will start the first officer's clock. There we go. And 01 left is identified visually. You can see the runway markings just there. Checking the approach as well, which we know I always try to do on VATSIM. So it's just kind of habit to do so, even when flying offline. And we'll line ourselves up now on 01 left and get ready for our departure. Here we go then. I'll stop the aircraft, just double check things one more time to make sure we're good. We are in no rush to get out of here. I'd rather not rush and just make sure that everything is set to go. So we've got flaps 5, auto brake is on RTO, flaps 5 are signaled down there. We have TARA, landing lights are on. I've got no flashing warning lights telling me that everything is dying and going wrong on the overhead. And there we go, auto throttle, LNAV and VNAV are armed, and so we are good to go. So I'm going to hold the toe brakes down. I'll advance the throttle, and if you have a look on that upper ICAS display, we're going to hold the throttle at about 40% N1, make sure it's stabilized, and then press toga. So release the toe brakes even, hit toga, and we are off. So we're looking for about 94.1% N1. Thrust is set now. $80 knots. Trying to keep on the centre line as much as possible, which is challenging for some reason. I don't know if there's a bit of wind. Ah, yeah, there's an 11 knot crosswind across the nose, so that's why it feels like my rudder is all over the place. V1 and rotate. So slowly back on the nose, not too fast, a nice smooth rotation. Don't want to jolt the passengers into the air. Little lag spike, apologies for that. We've got a positive rate of climb, gear can go up. Wow, what a view. Very cloudy Stockholm Arlanda, but it looks absolutely amazing. Okay, let's get back to flying the aircraft now, because I'm probably all over the place. But I just have to admire those views. So we'll keep it manual for a while now, just because I do want to do this first initial left-hand heavy turn that we've got myself. And so you can see on the PFD there, the kind of black dot in the center, it's kind of like the aiming point. You can see the vertical and horizontal cross, which is our flight director. And we just got to try and place that black spot in the middle of that cross, which I seem to have trouble doing a lot of the time. But we're okay at the second. And then once we've made this initial first turn, we can start to think about putting the autopilot in, and then throttled, then the speed will come up as well. Right, so we've made that left-hand turn. I'm happy with that. I'll pop the autopilot in now. So Command A is selected. LNAV and VNAV are armed. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the speed and altitude restrictions by clicking the altitude intervene button, and then that will just give us you know, a nice steady climb now. I'll bring the navigation displays out so we've just got a bit more situational awareness. And you can see on our primary flight display now, the speed is going up. So I will go into the outside view and we can call flaps 1. Huge lag spike, apologies. There's flap 1 and flaps up now. Lovely stuff. Flaps are fully retracted, and just have a look at that view with the clouds and everything. I should probably be looking at when I'm going through transition altitude in a second, but that view is next level. That view is worthy of, I think, of a thumbnail, in all honesty. And I think that view is pretty much on the same epic level as well. Right, let's go back into the flight deck. We've just gone through transition altitude, which is 5,000 feet. So I will click over to standard now, which is 1013 QNH. And then now that the flaps are retracted, we can do our after takeoff flow. So auto brake can go off, landing gear can go to the off position as well. Runway turnoffs can go off, ignition switch can go to both, and then the engine start switches can go to the off position as well. And hopefully I've not missed anything. The aircraft is now fully controlled by the autopilot. We've got LNAV and VNAV engaged. We are climbing nicely, got a tiny bit of turbulence. You can see the yokes moving around quite drastically at the second. Speed is fine, and we obviously do have that restriction of 250 knots or below whilst we are below flight level 100 or 10,000 feet. And we've just got about 2,000 or so feet to go before that restriction is lifted. Next thing to do is, it's very good kind of procedure to always try and keep your heading on the MCP lined up with what your heading is when following the LNAV profile. And the reason for that, if you're not aware, is because if for whatever reason LNAV failed or air traffic control asked you to remain on your current heading, you could literally just very quickly select heading select, and you would carry on the course that you're currently on. So that's always an advisable thing to do. We'll switch left FMC now onto the progress page, and you can see here all of the relevant information. So at the current time it's 8:49 Zulu. We're going to be estimating to arrive at 12:34 Zulu, so quite a long flight, just under 4 hours time. We've got 12.7 tons of fuel at the second, and we should be arriving with 3.6, so absolutely plenty of fuel left. We've got 1,638 nautical miles to go and 127 nautical miles until top of climb. And then we've also got the wind information here, 335 at 19 knots, which is basically a lovely tailwind at the second. So hopefully that will push us just a bit further. Now we are way above the landing lights speed, but I get distracted. This is, again, some of the things that happen sometimes when I'm discussing things and showing things in the simulator. I suddenly don't get, I lose track of where we are, and so lost track that we were above 10,000 feet. But obviously at 10,000 feet the landing lights will come off as well. And then once we've completed this right hand turn now, which is going to take us to the VOR of Delta Kilo Romeo, which is the final waypoint in the SID and the first waypoint in our kind of flight plan. Once we're on track and on course for that, we will turn the seatbelt signs off. But what an absolutely beautiful view. So overcast here in Sweden, exactly like it is in Britain at the second. But it just creates such a phenomenal view. And for those of you wondering, the weather engine that I'm using is Active Sky 16. And the cloud textures are provided by Rex Soft Clouds. And it just creates the most perfect overcast condition. Right. Seatbelt sign can come off now. Let's chime the cabin just a couple of times. And we are good. Everything is looking fine in the flight deck. I don't believe I've missed anything. We are climbing steadily and on our way to Malaga. Okay, welcome back to the flight deck. We have not long reached top of climb, and we are all good. Everything is looking nice and stable. Nice, easy, smooth climb up to our cruising altitude of 36,000 feet. So we've been in the air now for 24 minutes. It was 34 minutes until we started our pushback and got off the blocks, and we're on our way now. So again, as I mentioned earlier on, we're keeping our heading on the MCP lined up. As you can see here, so the white triangle and the kind of magenta box fits with each other, which is our true heading. So 222 is what we're going to keep on there, and I'll keep that lined up with each other. We've got, what else can I tell you about? Bank angle is back onto 10 now, obviously, just to make sure that at these higher altitudes the aircraft is just a little bit smoother when we do make turns between waypoints and everything. And then on the FMC, we've got the progress page. So unfortunately, we've got 3 minutes added onto our time of expected arrival now, and I'm pretty sure that's because of the winds. We've got a 32 knot headwind at the second, right across the nose of the aircraft from the right, which is a little bit annoying, but hey ho, hopefully it won't delay us too much, and we should be reaching top of descent just about 20 to 25 minutes before we arrive into Malaga. So I'll show some more nice views, and then with the powerful magic of YouTube and editing, I will talk to you guys again when we start to plan for our arrival into LEMG. So enjoy the views of the flight, and I will see you then. Right, we are back once again in the flight deck, a lot further on down the road. As I said, the magical power of editing and YouTube means that you don't have to sit here for the whole of the cruise phase. We can just chill and cut straight to it. So we've been in the air now for 3 hours and 6 minutes, just over 3 hours and 15 minutes since we pushed back and started on this journey. And yeah, we are in Spanish airspace now. You can see all of the different airfields around Spain here. We're just making a lovely right-hand turn as we are now only 110 nautical miles, make that 109 nautical miles even, until top of descent. So perfect timing to look and see what our arrival will be. I'm going to bring up Active Sky 16 to show you here the weather conditions for LEMG, which is Malaga. And we've got winds of 140 at 6 knots, which means we'll be landing on runway 13. QNH is 1018. Temperature is a lovely warm 31 degrees centigrade. Beautiful visibility, and so very, very nice weather conditions down at Malaga, as you would expect. I'll also bring across Avlasoft and show you what we're going to be doing for our arrival. So as I said, landing on runway 13. Our final waypoint is Bailin, the Bailin VOR, Bravo Lima November, and so it will be the Bailin 1 Quebec arrival, which will take us to the waypoint Tolsu. And then from Tulsa, we use that as our transition and head onto the ILS Zulu for runway 13. So let's program that in to the FMC now. I'll bring it up. Departures and arrivals, LEMG arrivals, ILS Zulu for 13, which is there on the BLN 1 Quebec arrival, and Tulsa as our transition. I'll execute that in, and we'll just head to the legs page and make sure that we've got no discontinuities, and we all look good. Let's take the fix of runway 13 and pop it into our fix page, and we'll just create some range rings around the airport just for some awareness. So I usually take 4 nautical miles, where I like to be fully established, pretty much 9 nautical miles, and then 15 as well. As we talked about earlier on, well, it was going to be potentially a flaps 40 landing, but I'm pretty sure I can get away with a flaps 30 landing. I shouldn't have too much of a problem there. A VREF speed of 147, and that is kind of standard. So flaps 30, VREF of 147 can go in. And before I do anything else, what I'm actually going to do is down the bottom here on the yoke, you can see this kind of number figure thing. And this is what they call the Boeing memory device, and you can put numbers in there like your flight number. So if I was doing that, I could put 421, for example. I know there are 2 2s, but I could just put 421 to try and remind me on there, or various 3-figure numbers. So what I like to do, just to make sure that I remember that VREF speed, is to pop it into my memory device. If I close that down, we can see that we've got the runway course of 133. So let's pop that in both of the course sections onto the MCP. So there's the left course, and then scroll. Oops, way too far even. To the right. And the ILS frequency is 109.5. So 109.5. And then on the other side as well, 109.5. Perfect. So that has gone into there like so. I'll bring back the FMC just one more time, because we'll go into the descent page, go into the forecast, and as I said, QNH is 1018 at Malaga, and the transition level now, the transition altitude on departure is 6,000 feet, so I'm just going to go with 1,000 feet above that for the transition level. Obviously ATC would give that to us in an ATIS report, but we'll go with 7,000 feet for our transition level on the way down. So with that in mind, I'll just bring up the PFD and just make it a tiny bit bigger for you, and you can see 1018 can go in there ready for when we reach that transition level. And the decision altitude, we've got perfectly clear weather, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I've just gone straight past it. Once again, it's 236. 236. And there we go. We are set up for our arrival now, ready to go. The only other thing that I can do whilst I'm here is set my auto brake level. I'll go with auto brake level 2. It's quite a long runway. I believe it's about 3,200 meters, runway 13 at Malaga, but just to be on the safe side, we'll go with auto brake level 2 to make sure that everything goes well there. So 103 nautical miles now until top of descent. We should be reaching the airport at 12:35 Zulu, and the time in the sim is currently 11:56 Zulu. So we are on course, on time, everything is looking good. We've got the 29 knot tailwind, and hopefully it won't be too long before we reach Malaga, and we'll have a nice, safe and easy arrival. So I will join you once again when we are on our final arrival and approach phase, but enjoy some more lovely views as we start our descent into Malaga. Okay, welcome back to the flight deck once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and through once again the magic of YouTube, we are pretty much now almost at Malaga. In fact, only 38 nautical miles left to go. We've just crossed through 10,000 feet, and in about 6 or 7 nautical miles, we're going to be making that left-hand turn, which will pretty much put us on final. We've got a decel point at Nepa, and that's most likely when I'm going to take flaps 1 and start to get ready for my configuration for landing. It's absolutely gorgeous weather out here though, and we're set up and ready to land. Landing lights have obviously come on because we're below 10,000 feet. Speed is back at 240 knots, seatbelt signs are on, and so we are ready for this arrival into Malaga. It's just a case of monitoring all of the screens and keeping things calm and collected. It's such a lovely view out here. We're not really going to be expecting anything bad in terms of turbulence or weather changes or anything like that. It's just gorgeous weather here in Malaga today, and so a really nice day to fly here. Certainly better weather than what we had earlier on this afternoon, or this morning I guess it is with the sim time, at Stockholm. So definitely a slight bit better weather. As I don't know what happened there with Active Sky 16, that was a weird one. But here we go, in comes that left hand turn now. It looks like the VNAV profile just very slightly veered off, but it's bringing itself back in now. The VNAV on here is very unreliable, unfortunately, in the PMDG 737, which is a bit of a shame. And if you're wondering where I got that source from and if I'm making that stuff up, I'm not, because I've been told it by a real 737 captain. That's one downfall of the PMDG 737, but don't get me wrong, I still absolutely love it. Right, we're going to bring out a bit of speed brakes now, just because I just want to watch that that speed. It's not too bad. It's nicely coming back now. The winds are calm and everything where we are, but I don't want it to creep above 250 without me realising it. And also, whilst we're here now, we might as well arm the localizer, because it shouldn't be too much longer before we do get onto that. We've got 28 nautical miles to go. We're making that heavy left-hand turn now that I showed you all earlier on. And what I've decided to do is to put the terrain display onto my side of the screen, onto the captain's navigation display, because with the weather as nice and calm as it is now, I don't think I'm going to be having any kind of weather cells popping up on the screen. I'd be very surprised if I did. We've got absolutely none that are suspected to come along. And so what I've decided to do instead is just stick it on to the terrain display, as that's the big concern now. We're through transition level, so I will change up the QNH, which I believe is still 1018. Yes, it is. And so we've got that in there, and we are on the new QNH now, away from standard pressure. Speed, once again, is rising just a little bit, so I'll bring out some more speed brake just so we don't creep over that 250 knot mark. But you can see now that the localizer is already captured, so we are in good stead. And what that means is that I will arm the approach, which you can see here just brings up the white GP, which stands for glide path, and so it's getting ready to arm the glide slope as well. Speed's coming back now. We've actually reached that decel point already, so what I'm going to do is stick us into speed intervene mode, and then just to help with our speed coming back, as we're on this approach now, I'm going to call for flaps 1 early. So you can see here that the flaps 1 display will start to come up as the needle points round to the right just a tiny bit more, and flaps 1 will be selected, and that will just help bring the speed back a tiny bit, and we might as well at that decel point. And then the plan from there is to try and at 50 nautical miles go back to 180 knots, and then at 9 nautical miles 160 until 4 DME, where we'll hopefully be fully configured for landing. That's the plan anyway. Whether that goes according to plan, I don't know. I've just realised that my fix rings have disappeared from the screen. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to worry about it now and put them back in. But yes, just suddenly realised out of nowhere that they've gone, which I kind of guess hinders me a slight bit on the kind of awareness of where I am. But it's such a clear day and everything, and I've got all the instruments I need, so I'm in no worries about that. Now the course apparently is actually switched to 134, so I've popped 134 in the courses, or it's automatically popped it in. So I popped 134 now into the heading zone, because that will be our final heading. And there's the buzzing sound just notifying us that we are 1,000 feet away from the altitude which is set into the MCP, which, as I've said, is at 4,200 feet. But by that point, we will have caught on to the glide slope by then. 2,500 being called out. You can see the terrain and just how close it is. It's an absolutely gorgeous view. I guess we can go out and have a look out of that wing view now. It's certainly a sight to behold, without a shadow of a doubt. But I need to keep an eye on things as much as I would like to gawp at lovely views. Right, speed can come back once again now. We're 15 nautical miles away, so I'll pop us down to 180 knots. Again, potentially early that I'm doing that, but it's just something that I like to do. I do like to establish early. And so with that in mind as well, I will select flaps 2 and then flaps 5 as well. Okay, flaps 5 is out. We are all good on that. Still not quite visual with the runway at the second. It's just hidden behind the haze there, but I'm pretty sure I can see the kind of coastline just about where I'm leading my mouse across now, if you can see that on the screen. So hopefully that is a signifier of just about where it is, but it's currently hidden by the haze. We are on the localizer though, and just as I say that, the glide path has initiated, so we are on the glide slope as well, so fully established, which is good. We've still got 12 nautical miles to go. Now that we're established, I'm going to put all of the landing lights on and pop my runway turn off lights on as well. We'll pop the start switches to continuous, and then we're done with the overhead. and we can just continue this approach. I'm now just about visual with the runway. I'm not too sure if you can see that on your screens. Hopefully the quality is okay and you can see it, but we're fully visual now. And in about 1 nautical mile, we'll go back to 160 and then remain at 160 until about 4 DME. And as shown earlier on, I've popped my VREF speed into my memory device, which is 147, which means we'll be having a VREF speed plus 5, which will give us a final MCP speed of 152. Let's bring that down now to 160, and we can select flaps 10 and then flaps 15, and at this point I will also go gear down. Flaps 15 has been selected and is out. Gear is coming down and we've got 3 green on the gear. We can arm the speed brake now, so that is all good to go. And then I'm starting to get ready to take over control of the aircraft now, putting my feet on the rudder pedals once again here at home, making sure my throttles are set up to go and that I'm comfortable and ready to land this aircraft. But speed is coming back normally. We're fine on the glide slope. Everything is good. So all we need to do now is select flaps 30 once we get a little closer. Let's bring the range down on these, shall we, just so we can keep up with everything and make sure that we're all good. We've actually got an 8 knot headwind at the second, but I'm still happy with VREF plus 5. That shouldn't be too much of an issue. And with that auto brake 2 setting, everything should be good. So tell you what, let's go flaps 25 now again. I'm kind of famous for establishing early, so apologise if you're like, wow, what is he doing? Why is he establishing so early on in this? It's just, I guess it's just the way that I fly. But I mean, look at that view. Absolutely gorgeous. Stunning view of Malaga as we approach into here. It looks like there's a house with a pool down there. That's pretty cool. 5 nautical miles to go, so I'll bring my speed back now down to 152, which will give it just a tiny bit of time. Flaps 30 can be selected. You can see that on the outside screen here as flaps 30 comes down. Got a bit of wing flex, another feature, as I said before in this video, that I absolutely love about the 737. And we are now fully established and cleared to land on runway 13. Again, we aren't on VATSIM, so we can clear ourselves to land. Everything is good. Landing checklist, we've got the engine start switches are on continuous, speed brake is armed, landing gear is down, and we've got flaps 30 green light. So on that note, auto throttle can come out, autopilot can be disengaged, and I'll shut up the buzzer, and I have control of the aircraft. So now controlling it all manually, that's both the speed and also the actual positioning of the aircraft on the localizer and on the glide slope as well. Luckily, with these really calm conditions, by the things that we've got at the second, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm kind of renowned for my terrible approaches and floating down the runway, so hopefully I grease this one for you all. As soon as I say that, there you go. You can just see that localizer just slightly veering off to the left. And although it's telling me that I'm fine with the flight director in terms of my glide slope and localizer, you can see on the pappies there I've got 1 red light and 3 whites, which signifies that I'm a little high. So I'm just going to watch with my nose. 500 feet is checked. Speed's coming up just a tiny bit, so I'll just reduce the throttle. I don't want to be too fast coming over the threshold of the runway, but we're fine on the localizer. Everything is looking good. Keeping that nose down.
200.
And for some reasons my minimums have also disappeared. I said that my fixed rings have disappeared and so have my minimums, but we are going to continue now. We're over the runway.
40, 30, 20, 10.
And he's floated it. There we go, we're down. Some lag stutters, unfortunately. But we are down. Floated it very slightly. Just pulled back just the slightest bit too much. And it made me float a bit down the runway. We've also got some really weird stutters. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but 70 knots, auto brake can be disarmed now. 60 knots, reversers can come in. And welcome everybody to Malaga. Not my finest landing ever, but certainly not my worst. And we're going to be able to successfully get off here at Echo 1. So still plenty of space for us to get out there. And even though I did float it, we still had some runway left, which was nice. So what we'll do here is we'll hold at Echo 1. I don't know what these spikes are, these kind of lag spikes that I'm getting. I'm not going to blame that as my excuse for landing. I simply just pulled back too much on the joystick. Right, so we'll hold here for a second. and then we will clean up the aircraft. So taxi lights can come on now, landing lights can come landing lights can come off, sorry, and the APU can start up. I'll pop the APU bleeds on over the top there, and we can turn the position to just the steady. Weather radar is actually already off. Speed brakes can come in, and the flaps can come in as well. And then I will pop off the TCAS and stop the clock, and we got a total time. Is it going to stop for me? There we go. That's the right one, of 3 hours and 50 minutes, which is what I wanted it to be. And it's actually been 4 hours since we departed. Auto brake can come off as well. And in terms of the gate, I'm not 100% sure where Norwegian park, but we are going to go and park on stand 28, if I can find it on the GSX menu. It's a heavy one, but screw it, who cares? And who do we want? We'll get Swissport International. I don't know why, but I like Swissport. So we'll get Swissport to handle us as we get onto the gate. Flaps are coming up now. We are all good. We can turn off the flight directors as well. I'll just turn that off. APUs come online, which is good. Ready for when we reach onto stand, and then we'll just take a left here onto Alpha. But yeah, these stutters have come back once again. I don't think it's my CPU or anything, because my CPU usage is currently at about 66%. So I'm not too sure what that is that's causing it, but hey ho, it's whatever. I'm not going to worry too much. Terrain can come off now. I certainly don't need that anymore on my navigation display. And as I said, yeah, flight directors have come off as well. Now we're actually, let me think of the best approach course here. I think it is probably better if I take this first right onto Golf 5. And then stand 2A is literally just there. So it's a very, very short taxi. But, you know, I hope you enjoyed that approach, everybody, because it is an absolutely beautiful one. And you can see Aeropuerto de Malaga, Costa del Sol, and certainly much, much, much better weather than at Stockholm. So runway turn-offs and taxi lights can come off now, as we are literally just about to pull on to stand. And we can see our air marshaller there waving us in. So we'll make the turn now to park on 28. Oopsie daisy, don't want to veer off too much, Chewy. Let's slow down as well, please, good sir. Keep on going, keep on going. For some reason, the GSX guy seems to have actually frozen in midair, which is a new one. I've not had that before, but we'll just come to a nice steady stop, apply a bit of toe brakes, and there we go. So, parking brake can be set. I'll pop the engine pages on the lower ICAS now, and then we can turn off engine number 1 and engine number 2, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Malaga, as I've said. We'll turn the clock off here, and we've got a total block time of 4 hours and 2 minutes. APU can go onto the buses now straight away. I'll turn off these fuel pumps. The position light can go. Oh no, sorry, no, the position light can stay on steady, but the anti-collision light can turn off now. And we'll turn off the seatbelt sign to let the passengers out. I'll give a couple of chimes up the top there. And then we're okay. And what I'll do is I'll just pop this back onto the APU gen and everything. I'll turn off all of these. Probe heats can come off as well. Window heats can come off. I mean, this aircraft would most likely go on a turnaround now. So I'm not going to completely change everything, but I'll clean it up somewhat. Next thing that we need to do, obviously, is to set some things on the ground. So ground connections, wheel chocks can get set. I'll pop the ground power and air conditioning in. And then we will open some doors to deboard all of the passengers. We'll get rid of that warning light that's coming up on the screen. And we'll go and have a look outside. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually pretty good parking, if I may say so myself. Even with GSX freezing, I was pretty much on the spot. This takes an A320, a 744. So yes, I don't think a 737 usually parks here. Let's actually get the jetway working now. When I first went to Malaga, there was an issue with the SOD, and so the jetways weren't working, but hopefully it's working now. It looks like it's going into place. And then hopefully we can start boarding. I've just realised that I've not actually requested deboarding. And I can't request deboarding because the GSX menu isn't coming up. So, GSX, thank you very much for deciding not to work on me. I'll see if I can get that working in a second. So if I pause the video here and then suddenly come back in a second, you know why. Okay, well, I'm sorry to say that GSX has decided to do what it usually does and not work. Unfortunately, it's one of the most unreliable bits of add-on software I've got. It just decides to mess up sometimes, and so I'll probably have to do a full reinstall of it, knowing me. So unfortunately, you can't see any of the baggage unloading or anything like that. It did decide to actually load in when I just stopped the recording to try it out, but it froze. It, like, moved for 5 seconds and then froze for 10 seconds and didn't do anything, and so it just wasn't even worth me having it on there. But there we go, we are on the stand regardless, down safely at Malaga. And I've actually literally just realized this, that the person, obviously, like all of the Norwegian aircraft, they have famous people on the back of them, and we've got Juan Sebastian Elcano, who seems to be a Spanish explorer, and I genuinely didn't plan that. That's by complete chance that we've ended up with this aircraft, and we've got a Spanish explorer on the back, and we're traveling to Spain today. So yeah, there you go. What can you say? A Spanish explorer on the back of the aircraft, as we ourselves have been Spanish explorers from Stockholm Arlanda to Malaga. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you do want to request any flights and any airlines, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll definitely be doing more 737 full flight videos in the future, because I certainly do enjoy recording them. So, from Malaga, the new Aerosoft scenery, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.